we're back. We left off. Tenelli was explaining kind of how this wasn't implicitly your fault. There's a lot more things going on to this than just your actions. And I forget where we were at from there.
No, we were kind of at that point, but so I mean, as we're traveling further and further away, it's harder and harder for us to relay information to you quickly. Is there potentially a way that we can make a deal with like Arrakis or someone on behalf of the military to like communicate quicker to you guys? Because right now we're kind of being put in spots where we're faced with very aggressive timelines in some spots, and we don't have much time to like make a decision. We tried to save Arius's life, and that was for naught. Potentially we should have come back to the camp, but it sounds like the numbers are so overwhelming that I don't know if we would have made the difference anyways. But
all right.
Were you
listen. Just stop. All right, look. Just take the fucking communicator for right now. If you die, I'll get it back anyway. You can summon it back to me. It's fine. Just take it. When you finish the call, take it. I know where this is going. I can make another one. I've got the spells on hand anyway if I need to. This is just much more convenient. I don't have to deal with remembering that I need to remember to put on these spells for the day. Oh, look at that. Reckless being very friendly today.
We'll call it even Reckless for what Sphinx did for you.
Reckless scoffs again. That should work then. That should at least give us a means of communication.
Based on the scry and the state of the military, what's your opinion, Tenelli? Do you think this fight in the Northwest is winnable, or do you think it's a fool's errand?
We fought most other threats. We don't know what's up there, and I think we've underestimated what was up there. We've sent some crews that we thought were quite skilled, but I could see how a number of them would have fallen being sent there. At the very least, things that can take away part of who you are quite dangerous and should not be lightly trifled with.
Speaking of which, has anyone else had the effects that these things have done to us, done to them? We have a number of individuals who have been trained of energy, and we don't know how to fix it.
Heracles speaks up. Oh, right. You guys, I totally forgot to inform you. The unhollow effect that's here is really gonna fuck with that. You're really gonna need to get out of town for a little while to get this all cleared up. And based on that ground I was seeing, you're probably not gonna heal it back without putting direct effort into healing that back. There's some focused healing techniques that I've heard some healers talk about before. Did you just roll that, Aravos?
Nope.
Okay.
I haven't rolled anything.
Just making sure. I saw 29 down there. I was making sure it wasn't something you'd rolled right now. I've had to use a couple of things to clear out mine. I don't think you can handle what I have. So yeah, once you guys set out on the road, you should find a lot of that will clear up.
What about, do you know anything of consecrated ground?
That would probably not manage to overtake what they have there. What it looks like they have there is some sort of advanced festering. I worry that we'd be trying to use consecrate would be trying to fight a burning building with a bucket of water.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. We have a number of things that have affected our party that are impairing our ability to go northwest at the moment. The need for consecrated ground isn't related to these demons. It was related to those dark militia you saw us fight.
Oh, what afflictions do you have related to that?
Who has it? Ricotta has it.
Ra and yeah, and
a little bit.
Zeke.
Gesture Cassius or whoever to come forward.
Oh, I've never seen anything like this. This is disgusting. It's like parts of your body are trying to eat themselves.
Yes. And very problematically, their fortitude isn't as great at the moment as you might expect.
This is quite vile stuff. Well, I can't help you with consecration in here. There's undead that protect the city, or the town, so we can't just simply carpet down places where the undead would just die at random.
Might you be able to point us to somewhere where we could?
If you go some distance outside of town, you can set up a place out there. Until rules change here, I am bound by the limitations of the town.
Like, about how far outside of town?
A couple of miles. Probably less than that. I've never actually looked at where the boundaries are. It's not really my concern. Never really drawn them out.
And excuse, but I'm not as knowledgeable as you, Heracles. Just trying to stroke his ego a little bit. Like, I am not aware of how these rituals are set up. Might you be able to advise what the simplest way to conduct this or set this up is?
No, I don't know what this is. Like, I couldn't tell you. If you think consecrate has something to do with it, then consult a cleric.
Very well.
My magic is arcane, and he shows you the book, much like your magic. I don't know about that one, and she points to and he points to Sphinx, but I know that one, and he points to Ra. Should be able to do something about this.
Very well, and then I would just finish with Tonelli, and I would just say then it's important to note that it appears that Kazaram is undergoing very big changes in the upcoming months, potentially. They're restructuring their government because the dwarf mayor that we told you about previously that was hoarding and hiding wealth has been overthrown.
That's not a surprise. From what it sounded like, that was an inevitable eventuality. Where, by the way, is Aravos? Or not Aravos, I'm sorry.
I'm right here.
Where, by the way, is your hot-headed friend?
Ricotta?
No. He doesn't know that you guys never went back after whatchamacallit died. Now that I've forgotten his name.
No, I
Arius
said that.
died.
Arius, thank you.
I said that when I was talking to him. I said that we didn't come back to the camp because we were rushing to try and save Arius in that build.
Oh, okay. I missed that. Sorry.
But I forgot that would have been the first time he heard that, so he probably would have given whatever reaction he wanted to give to that. He sacrificed himself.
And who's this other person that's standing here?
Well, the beings we're going against in the northwest have pretty extreme abilities from what we've seen. We need...
How do you deal with them talking so slowly? That is Aravos. He is my assistant. I'm having him travel with the group in order to make sure that I have good monitoring on your group. Is that acceptable? Tana's
That's a nice way of putting it.
Fine. God, you have such a temper. Your people talk too slow. Just ignore him. I can hear you!
Basically, he's not military, but he's been very, very useful so far. I can vouch for him.
Well, that's a lot of people on your plate to be vouching for at this point.
Yeah.
Well, thus far you've accomplished quite a bit. You've managed to, whether direct or indirect, help deal with our issue with the were-lions. You have the shifters in a controlled pattern, We have not had anyone else complain of issues from any nearby towns or villages. We've had nothing but good reports on things going on in Lukill and Kminster. We are officially ready to ask you now, where do you wish to go from here? The towns that you manage can simply be given off to other people who can handle collecting taxes, as was your initial goal, but you've thus far proven you have a lot more interest in getting things done, and I'd like to focus your attention then on getting the things done you feel are problematic.
Look to the group. We all kind of were touched in some way by the demons, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone completely unfazed?
Maybe me. I don't know how much I would be impacted. I don't know.
But
Did you take any stat damage?
Oh, are you talking about the... No, I didn't take any stat damage from the Dark Militia, but I thought you were talking about the things in the mountain.
He's talking about the things in the mountain. That's what I'm asking about. Did you take damage from that?
Oh, from the scrying. No,
Yeah,
I did not.
okay.
I just passed my save.
Then yeah, you were unaffected.
I think everyone else took some amount.
No, I did not.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Zeke was not there. That's right.
I have a negative.
No, he was
one.
there. He just did not take anything.
I have a -1 on my charisma, and I don't explicitly remember
That is
where
why.
I got that. Okay, I couldn't remember if that was from that or something else.
Yep. You just like having a -1 to charisma.
So
First
we
I
all
think-
more or less have felt and seen their power. I mean, they feel scary as shit, but at the same time, I mean, are they only going to keep getting stronger if we wait?
Are you saying this to the party or to Nelly?
Yeah.
Oh. We all saw the thing in the scry, right? Like, or did only Spinks see it?
Nope, you all saw... Hold on. I want to make sure that
Steve's like,
everyone
"I
else
prepped it,
gets
I
to see
prepped
them.
this. I prepped this.
You all saw this thing.
Actual size.
That is the last thing that you saw.
There's no point on, like, knowledge checking anything about that,
No.
right? Like, never-
You would need a very high knowledge. Do you have knowledge of the planes?
Yeah.
Give me a knowledge of the planes. I don't think you can get it, but no.
Okay.
There were these things which were protecting the towers at the entrance to a cave into the mountains.
But because he said knowledge of the plane, like, I clearly know these are extraplanar creatures, at least.
That's close, Mal, but no cigar.
But we at least know they're, like, planar, extra.
They are definitely not of this world in nature. And Mal, you would know that these are like some level of aberrant magic has gone into the production of this, but there are features of these that do not exist in the way that you would assume the natural world can be put together. And they're too clean to be aberrant. Like, most of the time, like, looking at this one that we have in front of us right now, this is probably a lot of aberrant work combined with some sort of, like, otherworldly material, like, blending. But the other creatures, these are more... They are less in the way of, like, somebody using Arcana to bend something into shape, and more something allowing something to grow into an unnatural method, or at least one that is not natural to the world you exist in.
And so, sorry, we also know that their, like, presence has expanded.
Yes,
right. Like that
their existence is growing,
spreading, or
yeah.
So yeah, I guess I would suggest we at least look into these creatures and have some research being done before we go there. Like, we need to figure out what they are, what's going on. Their influence is spreading. I don't know how long we can allow it to keep going on.
Or perhaps we could try to pick off a small, weaker segment of them.
Agreed. We can learn much.
I don't think. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Actually, if you could get one of
cutting
those bodies back to us, we have people that might be able to dissect it. Get us some more information on them.
Maybe we can pick up a straggler if we go on their borders.
That might not be a bad idea.
We can learn much about them.
Do you think you could manage that?
A lesser one? Potentially, yes.
Preferably 2 or 3 of them, so we can make sure that anything we're looking at is consistent, and that we're not getting something that's like irregular or maybe incomplete.
Sorry, this is Tonelli talking to us right
No,
now.
this
right?
is
Heracles.
Heracles.
Oh.
Oh, in that case, he's too calm. Damn it.
No, I mean everything seems like perfectly reasonable about what he's asking for. He has had a lot of interest in cleaning up at least the country, so there's not really a reason he wouldn't be interested here in doing that.
Have there been any reports of people that have survived encounters with these creatures?
I'm not aware. I know that Tonelli speaks up. We know that the group of the Crimson Council over in Kumoa was successful in returning some information. They talked about the landscape. They talked about some of the creatures they saw. To some degree, they did mention dog-like creatures, although I did not expect quite what Heracles had seen. But it makes sense if these things do damage to part of who you are and part of how you think, that they would perhaps not have remembered well what it was they encountered. But we have not had anyone of the military come back, but we sent people to fight whatever the threat was. We did not send people out as messengers or as scouts.
I'm assuming there's not a whole lot in the way of information that'll help us figure out how to take these things down.
Not unless you can get some of them back. It sounds like whoever Heracles knows can dissect them and give you some information about how to better deal with them. But until then, I think you're just going to have to figure it out.
Cool.
I think taking on some of these lesser ones is something I think we could potentially do if we work together and we're focused. But no promises. But we'll do our best.
Excellent.
If everyone agrees, I'm not giving this order to. This is probably the most dangerous thing I've ordered anyone to do.
I think it may be why you are from the Crimson Council, right?
I am. Well,
perhaps it may be
I'm friends with them.
Perhaps it may be wise we stop there first and you see what they have to say about it. See if it's something we can even handle before we just rush in there. If they've encountered the creatures before, maybe they know a weaker or an area where it's easier to penetrate their defenses or something.
Yeah, I mean it'd be along the way. It'd be easy enough to rest there for a night, kind of thing.
Okay.
Unrelated note, Tonelli. Our vests changed. You guys aren't happening to get in deeper with blacksmithing, are you?
Our arrangement is very carefully constructed. The shirts were set. He seems like there's a lot of genuineness to that. Like the way he says it is if he himself probably had something to do with overseeing the agreement.
So it doesn't sound like he's keeping anything from us this time?
No, this seems like him being very clear.
Okay.
You've officially been redesignated in terms of rank. Therefore, your shirts have enhanced in overall quality. They also now have a different display mode, which you can enable. It will make you appear as though you are emblazoned with one of the higher ranks within our fold, and you will appear as though you are wearing a suit of full plate or plate mail, with or without a helmet. It will seem a little bit more form-fitting, though. It's a little odd to look at times. But does a good job presenting what we want to present. this scalable technology is very interesting. It allows us to... The items kind of work in a sort of unison, so we can depower the magic from some to repower the magic into others. This is how your shorts work. So as we've lost other people, we've been able to redirect the energy from theirs into yours.
Oh.
There is allegedly something else that can be unlocked later. But we're uncertain if we want to do this, because it seems it would create too close a tie to Blacksmith Inc.'s Arcano infrastructure. We're nervous even about what we have here, but this seems within reasonable guidelines, and everyone here was capable of reading the magic well enough to ensure that there isn't any likely tampering in the weave on any of these.
Yeah.
I think it would be wise if we kept that as a very last resort only.
It is intended to be.
Yeah.
Do I know about... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, do I know about Blacksmith Inc. at all? Or
Give me knowledge local. Let's see if you... Oh yeah, you know quite a bit. Crazy, like... self-interested company. They're willing to sell out for literally anything. As long as there's money to be made, they will literally sell anything to anyone, and let them take any chances with it, as long as they'll sign an indemnity waiver. And they think there's enough like value to be gained from testing it on that person. So things tend to scale with certain people they interact with. And they're very like attached to a lot of certain types of groups. So there's a lot of like blade wielding spellcasters that often have strong connections to Blacksmith Inc. There are a large number of people with some form of like beast bloodlines connected to spellcasting that they have an indirect link to. And some other people who have like innate mental abilities that they have strong links to.
I don't know how my character would feel about this. Would I think it'd be foolish to like align yourself with them, or like because would I know like people get fucked up with a lot of their experimental stuff?
Yeah,
or...
taking an item from Blacksmith Inc. is like playing the lottery.
Right. Okay.
You can make a lot of money, sure, but it's only a certain amount of time before like whatever it is you sign up for will probably take you out.
Okay.
Real question is, how much do you like wild magic?
Yeah. They give the items they give to you guys are the items the items they would give to you would be like the items they would beta test to later give to later like know what works and what doesn't, like what is too much magic in one item. And then once they've got like a final prototype, they'll sell it to the military. You would actually know that because Heracles has actually had to broker deals within the town for like some of the guards needed like specific items. Blacksmith Inc. came up with an offer, and Heracles is like really digging into like, okay, what does this thing really do, and how much damage can it potentially cause? Okay. It's also like you would loosely believe that another organization known as Father Dearest does some contract work with them indirectly, but they also kind of fight for the same market to some degree.
Wait, so what do I know about Father Dearest? I know they're like another magic kind of...
You'll need a knowledge history for that one, because there's not a Father Dearest location in town.
Interesting. Where's my history?
You don't know a lot about Father Dearest. Some kind of magic organization, but that's about all you really know about them.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
One last thing to know before we hang up on you. To make sure the Dark Militia didn't take advantage of Muckmack anymore, you'll need whatever group you put in charge of Muckmack to. I've given you signed documents with my seal before. Do you still have any of those?
I do.
You'll need to give those to that party because they won't take military orders from anyone that doesn't have my symbol.
Good of you to do. I will make sure it happens.
Does anyone else have any questions for Tally?
Nah. Nothing other than recommending, not getting any further into bed with Blacksmith Inc.
We're very careful about what we do.
Pleasure to meet you, good sir.
Same, I hope.
Speaking
Yes, Sphinx.
Sorry, go ahead, Sphinx.
I may have one question.
By all
Do
means.
you know anyone who might know anything about Undercommon? Not Undercommon. What is it?
Ancient Common.
Ancient Common.
No one has. I've never even heard words of that language uttered. I've heard people speak of its existence before, but no script or no knowledge of that language, to my understanding, is known by anything other than great scholars or the occasional psychotic, over-obsessed mage who's very loud and complains about the speech patterns of other people. Shut up, you!
Sorry, wait,
What?
quick out-of-character question. I'm like one language away from Ancient Common. That's not something I can just learn, right? I have to find someone who knows it or something?
Nope. If you know the rest of the languages on the tree, you understand all the things necessary in order to understand how Ancient Common works and sounds.
Oh, so like every language that's connected to it, I have to have in order to get it? Or
That
just
is
one?
correct. Every literal language that is connected. In fact, every
Okay, then I'm
connection
far
you
away
have
from
to
it.
have for every other language, unless
Yeah,
you've
that
learned it
doesn't-
from someone else.
That doesn't necessarily mean he would learn it either, right? He would have to find some way to.
No, he would
Like-
learn it. Like it's like a slow understanding of it. Like you have all these things, and so you notice like this word and this word is like this word is like this word is like this word. Because a lot of how language develops is it develops from other languages, and so you can find roots from other words if you find similar enough languages over enough time of interacting with those languages.
Okay, then I'm noticing because when
You
I
probably have your languages incorrect.
picked just one, because I have Sylvan, because that was just an option that elves could pick. But
Yeah,
according
that's
to Jared,
fine. If it was picked
okay.
picked as your starting, as one of
Yeah.
your starting, that is fine.
Okay. The rest of mine work as is right now, though. But,
Yep. Because that's assumed that like somebody taught you Sylvan when you were growing up, and your family was quite wealthy, so they likely would have.
Okay. Then I'm good.
I'm starting to get close myself, Sphinx, but I need some hypothetical number of raw points that could happen before.
Unfortunately, I don't think I can use you gloves to help.
You could give him a necklace to help.
If you could give me 2 in linguistics somehow, I could do it.
A necklace with a giant tongue.
Wait, this is a wild idea.
How would you only need 2 more ranks in linguistics to help?
Because I have pretty much most of the middle of the tree at this point. Common
Have
or
you been
not.
buying according to the tree?
Well, these are all languages that half-orcs get.
Right, but you only get what you would start with. So you would have started with 4 additional languages. So Common, Orc, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, okay, yeah, Giant, Elven, Infernal.
Unless I'm doing that wrong. Isn't every intelligence you get retroactive?
No, the idea behind why you would know those languages... Yeah, so you would get 4 additional language, but then when you gain another point of intel, this is going to be a learned language. This is not going to be something where, like, your history has taught you it.
Yeah.
Your starting languages are, like, over the time of where you were living, you've been encountering these languages on the regular, and that's how you pick them up.
Do I have to
So-
designate which one is my learned language? Does it
I'm assuming they are in order. Your first 4 would, or your
Correct.
first 6 would be your starting languages.
And then I added Giant, and I got Elven and Infernal.
Yes. So I'll go over it, and I'll let you know if there's anything I feel like you should correct.
Okay, cool.
So knowing the languages that connect to it and knowing of its existence would allow you to like kind of reverse engineer
Exactly.
it then, essentially.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Do we know which languages tie into Undercommon, like out in character? Do we
Ancient Common.
Or sorry, Ancient Common. Whatever?
Undercommon does.
So the tree actually, if you're somebody who's putting ranks in linguistics, that's kind of part of your study of language. is the understanding that like this is how languages work together. There's not a lot of ways to make linguistics make sense unless you're like one of those people that's like, I really like Latin, and so I'm going to learn about Latin. Well, in order to learn about Latin, you have to learn about like the other languages that followed Latin to kind of break down what is Latin really as a language, and that's a lot of what you're doing with Ancient Common. Ancient Common actually is a little probably a little more similar to either Sumerian or Babylonian in nature, if you're like talking about on the language understanding scale, which is why they're kind of offset. You have Latin, which is kind of the old Draconic concept, and then you have Ancient Common, which is kind of the Babylonian, Sumerian kind of language that's evolved over time. And so they like chain off in different directions. If you knew Sumerian, it wouldn't make you any more likely to know Latin, and vice versa. Anyway, so you had one more question for me, Maldronicus. Yes?
Or was it me or Sphinx?
Sphinx asked her question. Perhaps.
Oh, I was going to ask if in the you mentioned you had tuned the power in the shirts. If there's still shirts that are left over, I have 2 new party members that could potentially use some amount of them, even if they're not upgraded ones. Like anything would help a lot.
Wait, well, I can't use that, right? It would impede my spellcasting?
No, you can't use it because you are not a member of the military and they won't give it to you.
Ricotta is officially a member.
Yes, they will dispatch one to you.
Okay, cool.
So you'll have it within the next few days.
That's all I have to know.
Very good. If there is anything else I can assist you with, feel free to reach out to me again. And Heracles like makes a gesture like, now you do this.
Do it like this.
That doesn't work. Yeah, and then it like closes and like it forms the disc back in your hand. Take care of that. It's somewhat fragile.
Michelle, these so these demons you want. Is there any value in them being alive or dead?
Alive would be impressive. If we can get a couple alive, there's probably much more we can learn from them. But it could be dangerous. So it would be helpful if you bring them back alive to find some way to seal them off as well. Whatever sound they emit, simply hearing it is enough to have an effect on you. So I can't imagine how bad it would be if you were to carry them around for a while, waking up periodically and blasting you with that sound, and then getting them into town and what damage it could do to people. I'd never hear the end of it. Everyone would be like, Heracles is irresponsible. He should have taken care of this.
If we do manage to get any alive, we'll use this, and I'll hold his disc to tell you ahead of time to meet us out on the outskirts of town.
I won't be doing the looking into, but people blame me anytime anything magical happens around town that's questionable. Fucking savages.
You said they had some sort of sound ability?
You heard it. Everyone got hurt by it. Most of you got hurt by it. It let out like a shriek that filled your mind and did the charisma damage.
Gotcha. Yeah, I forgot that was like an actual shriek type thing.
Sphinx, do you have the ability to create like an earplug device? I can't hear you, Sphinx.
I also kind of mumbled it.
Oh.
And then I failed to actually say the words properly, so I just gave up.
Why don't you say it now?
I just said that sweet -4 charisma damage.
Oh. I was asking, do you think that you'd be able to create devices that clog our ears?
Oh, is that a possibility?
Potentially. I'm not going to give you the how to do it now. I would make it something that if you wanted it done, there would need to be some research involved.
Because we all experienced like their blast or whatever, can I know like if that was like a magical like normal earplugs wouldn't block that? Like it's a magical effect, like you can't just block it? Would I know that?
It'd be hard to know. I mean, there are some effects that it's not about the sound; it's about the reverberations. But it's hard to know in this particular case. Again, like you need a little more experimentation. You can probably assume that it's not from reverberations though, because it happened over a clearer audience.
But it didn't.
But
it didn't seem to be something that just happened in our mind, though, right?
No.
We heard a sound. Okay. Yeah.
Someone take that. Someone grab Steve's mouse. That man's out of control right now.
Get that out of here.
It's such a friendly
The
friend.
wrong party to get killed by that.
All right, are we ready to head out to the Crimson Council?
This,
So,
we could potentially try and see if there's clerics in the Crimson Council. They could potentially help us if we get off this blighted ground or hallowed ground, sir.
Unhallowed ground. A blighted ground is what's to the northwest. Unhallowed ground is what's here.
It's so simple. Just keep track of the 5 different types of ground, guys. I don't know why.
Oh, there's so many more than 5.
Oh God. Okay.
Even I get lost on it from time to time. I think you guys have heard me misuse the wrong type myself multiple times when talking about the areas.
there's Kentucky bluegrass.
No.
We are not getting into grass. I did not realize it was that complicated until a couple of years back.
In his Khazra, I'm going to have to produce creep so that they can expand their structures into, like...
No, this actually does not function like creep.
No.
I'm not doing what Koibu was doing in his, where he's like, I'm just literally stealing things from StarCraft.
Does so what do we know about the Crimson Council, like, as far as I really don't know too much about them.
You know what you know.
I mean, you know that you have a member in that honorary half in this group from the council. Ricotta is from the council. I'm like basically allied with the council. They've helped us with a lot. As far as I'm concerned, if there is an evil going on there, then we're just totally fucked. But for the most part,
Is there is it just a bunch of like cleric type people?
you've been there. You were with us when we met. Like, there was the one that was basically like the one that was trying to sell them out to the humans. There's the cleric, well, not cleric, like inquisitor maybe, that made him confess. There's a few very strong warriors that would have been with me when you guys first met me. And
yeah, the
like this
big dude.
This is where Sphinx met her boyfriend and future husband.
It was Tima. It was Tima, Chegi, Agak, and Gutai is no longer a member of the council.
Okay, yeah, I do remember all of that now. I forgot about that was the same group.
Yeah, but that's the Crimson Council. They're not very big. We're like what are our numbers, like 200, 300?
130.
130, yeah.
Yep, and they count the wargs as population.
For the census.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's easy to keep numbers when you're that small.
Okay.
All right. So you guys finish up what you're doing for your time here in Kazarim, and you can head north to Kumoa.
I'd say anytime we're traveling now, probably just Sphinx cast that spell.
Yep. That'll be interesting, because as you guys arrive in town, some of the people here won't notice you. They'll be like, who are these people talking to? Whoa, people are disappearing when they get close.
You might want to spell it as we arrive.
Yeah, it could be dispelled.
Okay. I was gonna say, can we all just fit in the wagon and we just cast it on the wagon every time?
Yes, but it's a radius.
Did I miss something?
You don't have the spell in your stuff yet, but
Steve
it was
put
going
it
to
in
eventually
chat.
get in your stuff.
I'll just click it. I put it in mine.
Yeah.
Which spell? This
I
one?
feel like I missed something.
No, not that one, Ryan.
So
Definitely that
the
one.
spell that I sold out the Spirit Mother for,
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically what happened. I didn't know what I was doing, so
He sold his memory of his thing that happened in his player creation.
Oh yeah.
it was interesting because I thought he just wanted a dark memory, and then that game, I'm like, oh shit, the Spirit Mother. Whoops.
So yeah, all the wizard-esque party members can transpose this spell into their books and cast it.
Oh, not that spell.
Oh shit! I gotta add pages for all the new spells I learned. I hope I have enough here.
Wait, which spell were you talking about?
Ignorance, invisibility, not create drug. Stop that.
Oh.
Wrong game.
Hey, I'm not high enough level to get that yet.
Yeah. All right.
What
So
level
you guys,
spell is
it is level 3.
Why don't I just make everyone something? Okay, I guess it's not a range. Is there a range? Why does it not? Oh wait, there's the range. I can't read it. Fantastic.
So you
Range is 0
arrive.
feet.
You arrive back in the camp of the Crimson Council, known as Kumoa. Did that play the music correctly? Did it do it right? Did it fail it? It failed it. Oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to reiterate, just for the record, just in case something happens, every spell I knew up until that point is in my main spellbook in Kazarim, and then I'm taking a traveling spellbook with me.
Got it.
That's a complete copy at this point.
When all of you arrive, you are greeted immediately by a few of the people who will guide you immediately to see the council. Tima, Cheggy, and Agak are inside, kind of seated at a very small, not very well constructed table. And they are looking over a map that's laid out in front of them.
There you go. Just put your spellbook in that.
It's very good to see you all here. You come at a good time. Agak says, looking up to you.
I extend the half-orc arm greeting. And it's good to see you too. I'm glad to hear that your party made it back from the mountains, because we might be next.
To go?
Potentially, depending on what you might have to report to us.
This is a troubling thing, isn't it? Tima, pulls the map to a certain location and, gestures to an area. This is quite problematic. I'm rather concerned their spread is growing quickly. We did notice something very interesting, though. Are you all familiar with your wing that dresses in dark colors?
Our wing that dresses in the dark militia?
Is that what you call them? They claimed they were from the military.
They're exiled.
Hmm.
Am I understanding correctly what they're asking, or am I?
Yeah.
Okay.
They actually helped some of our people get out. It seems we have a common foe, so I assumed that they were with you, but
they were helping you versus the demons?
Yes.
Or they were helping you versus the shifters?
They were helping us versus the demons.
I'm gonna pull out my map, and if I have any relevant information on the spread of the stuff, I'm gonna see if it matches up.
Yeah, your spread is actually more advanced because you've gotten a more recent update than they've gotten.
And I'll let them know where I got the information from and everything. Just as a gesture of goodwill.
Thank you.
No problem.
We haven't encountered many of them, but they didn't seem very interested in the demons, the group that we encountered.
Well, I believe their territory is near that region, so there must be some measure of cross-contamination occurring. They said they had a camp not far from where we were.
Just to clarify, did we definitively figure out that they were actually demons?
No, there's no confirmation that they're demons. It's just
We're
like
just- we're
it's a
just
common
calling them,
word
yeah.
to refer to them.
Okay, I would ask them to verify, to verify if that's the case, and
Yeah,
make sure
they're just saying they'll admit they're referring to them as demons for a lack of a word.
Okay, my apologies. I was just hoping that you knew something we didn't.
Would you be able to call in the party that returned successfully?
Certainly. One moment. Agak steps out, talks to somebody outside of the tent, and a few moments later, 4 people step in. Pretty clear what these are. There's one with like a large axe on their back. There is one who has a holy symbol on their chest. But this symbol is rather weird. It looks as if it's kind of like... Spinks, you would recognize it. It's like what you would see like a ball of spirit energy to look like. There is a person who has like a little raven on their shoulder. And there is a person... There's a goblin that's kind of like hunched over. And like sharpening a dagger as they enter the tent. These are those that we have sent.
I look them over. Do they all look very sane still? Like,
Relatively, yeah.
Cassius, this is, perhaps you should do this part. You're good at this.
Does Cassius speak Orcish or Goblin?
They speak Draconic, right?
Nope.
Oh,
Cassius is
okay.
going to be of no help.
Okay,
I have,
never mind.
Well, I have Draconic, Gnomish, and Dwarven,
Nope.
so
Okay.
I didn't think. But
Binks, do you have a way of helping communications here? Perhaps a spell of some sort?
Maybe some tongues.
Yes.
Although technically that only works on you. I think your version.
Grants you the ability to speak and understand.
Yeah.
Well, she could translate between them. I don't know if she wants to do that, though.
I can already translate between them. I already have the languages.
Oh,
but then it would be magical.
If that's the case, then I'll
No,
just
we're
start.
just excluding y'all from the conversation.
I'll just introduce myself if they're not familiar with our unit. I don't have
They're not, no.
Guys. Yeah. I would say that we're members of the military. We're potentially being dispatched to start investigating this demon threat, and any information they have for us could be extremely valuable. If they've had any information about the way these things move, the way these things fight, their tendencies, like whether they saw them at night, during the day, any sorts of information like that would be very helpful.
These things, they latch onto you. The biggest one says they get in and they bite at your leg, but then they mean not to take you down. Their bite seems to make your vision and your hearing amplify but distort. You begin to feel whatever it is the noise does to your head more intensely. The only solution is to cut them free, to cure your mind. Their bite is quite effective. They are very skilled at getting in close and getting a good hold.
Did they do this stealthily too, or did you see them coming?
You often see them coming. They are quite noisy, but you'll be dealing with the sound of their voices filling the air the closer you get to them. And it can get very overwhelming at times. It's also one thing to note that you should be careful. There are pimples that grow up in the ground, and these are what these things will burst forth from. as you travel. And these pimples are often protected by large tentacles that will remain under the ground until you close in on them.
I'm assuming this is all being translated, correct?
Yeah, if Sphinx isn't, I'll translate.
I'll
Okay.
translate since you're the one leading the conversation.
Appreciate it.
Make sure he asks how they resisted the effects.
Yeah, that was my next question. So which of you was bitten by one of these?
It was, of course, I. I was out at the front. They got to me. Thanks to the smaller one here. He gestures to the goblin. We were able to cut it loose, get rid of it. They're not particularly strong. So a few good hits, a few solid hits will take them off of you, and they're not very evasive, especially once they get latched.
And
Once we felt the drain to ourselves, we pulled away quickly. It's best not to continue to fight if you feel there's a chance you're weakened. None of us were here to die. We were here to get the information that we came for.
What kind of clothes is he wearing? Is he wearing like a...
He's wearing hide.
Full... Okay, so he's got like a full thing on?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to see if I could see a bite mark or anything.
Oh yeah, he'll show you. Like, he lifts up a leg and he'll show you like these massive teeth marks that are in his leg.
can I do like any sort of arcana or like planes check on this?
You can give me another knowledge of the planes.
Oh, yeah. Get him, daddy.
I should put planes on my bar at this point. It's going up a lot.
Ooh, nope. A lot of things could cause that bite.
How long did it last after you removed it? Did
Oh,
go
it
away
was
instantly?
well, the effects did not go away instantly, but the sound went back to being the normal sound. It was no longer this intensified sound.
And does he wear armor? He wears hide on his legs, is what you said?
Yeah, he's got hide all over, as much as he can.
So potentially, I could smith us some metal leggings.
Oh, their bite would probably pierce through most things. They have a large number of teeth, lots of them very sharp. I'm sure they would find any space between your metal armor and still get at you. And they're quite fine to a point, so even chain seems likely not to be of great effect.
Okay.
But better armor is better armor.
But they and they attacked you during the day. Did you
At-
them at night?
When you get within the confines of that place, the sky distorts to a shade of purple, as if night has fallen, corrupted by the day. The land itself has its own kind of purple and silverish hue about it, that kind of melts over the landscape like quicksilver tainted by the sky.
Alright, Mills, have you ever heard of something like this? You and Arachthus seem to study a lot with this stuff. Someone actually changing weather and day patterns, is that?
Nope.
It's clearly impossible.
I think one of my next emotes will be a D20 and a block of ice.
I don't know, anyone have any questions? And I'm asking to the party that I haven't thought of.
Wouldn't even know where to begin.
It seems like at least we know what we're looking for. And if they're small enough, these might be something that we could actually capture. You know?
If only you had some kind of ball device that you could store them in. If you got them to
That's
low
what I'm
enough hit
thinking. That's
points.
what I'm thinking about. Make a big ball.
Though you might become rather addicted to the concept of collecting them, leading you to want to acquire large quantities.
Perhaps all of them,
Maybe.
depending on your level of ambition.
Yes. If you wanted to be the very best, perhaps like no one ever was, that might be your interest.
Well, there's not. I mean, there wasn't a lot of opportunity before now for there to be the very best.
To catch them, though, that would be the real test.
Would it be like so?
Training them is our cause.
I don't know if this would be specific to the species I'm asking about, but like, in order to bite something, you actually have to be able to like grasp your teeth around it. So if we did keep,
You just have to be able to wrap your mouth around it.
So like, if we kept these things in like a ball, like that would be very difficult for things with teeth.
You want to turn them into hamsters.
That's what I mean. Like, if they're inside a ball, though, could they actually, like, if they're biting, that's difficult to bite at something.
Yeah, I mean, theoretically, it's very difficult for anything to bite its way out of a ball. It would be hard for it to bite its way out of a cage, even still. Like, it has teeth, so it could maybe, like, if the teeth are as razor sharp as he's talking about, they could maybe penetrate through the bars, but that would be difficult because then, like, they're still stuck in, like, whatever container they're in. They're not saws, so they're not necessarily going to saw through it. And they are kind of confirming they are small creatures.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just put them in force cages.
Can I have them make like a hand gesture, like the approximate size?
They compare them to about the size of like a wild boar, like yay, by yay.
Okay.
Just need a ball that when we hit it, it casts shrink on it, and that way.
So the reason I'm asking is like I'm thinking while we're trying to cure this bile damage and this other stuff, and we have a few days of downtime, I might try and bend these sheets into a ball.
Okay.
And basically make like some sort of container that we could keep.
That would have like a hinge and a lock on it.
Yeah.
All right.
Like,
congratulations, you created the first Pokeball. How do you plan on it getting air? If it breathes.
Yeah, I'll think more about it over the week. I'm just like giving you like the general idea of like, what end. Maybe just like a small air hole.
That it can howl out of.
Very, very small.
Yeah, they don't need air.
Just feed them air every once in a while. Like Erebos probably has a spell for that. Like insert air into the ball.
Air insertion, is that what it's called?
Yeah. Infinite air or some shit. I'm sure it exists. Some homebrew nonsense.
I'm sure Kobold Press has made something like that.
Yeah, definitely Kobold Press. You no longer need to breathe. Level 1 spell lasts 5...
It's not even a level 1 spell. You just take the right class and you get it. I think evasion is worth exchanging for that. Oh, there we go. Air bubble. It is actually a level 1 spell. But it's only 1 minute per level.
Oh, yeah. It's not. Okay, well, if no one else in the party has any other questions, I would thank these guys for the information. That's very, very valuable. And for taking the chance to get that information for us.
It worked out well for us, just as much as it has for you. We have the trade that we want. It has been improving. Many of the vendors are more willing to accept us being there. This has been quite an opportunity for us. We hear word that there are changes to be coming. Yes.
Yes. Potentially, Kazarum is. They're building a new government, and we'll have half-orc representation there.
That would be excellent. I think they could do well with a wider range of representation.
Potentially, with a bigger city, we could integrate into the city, and we don't have to be outsiders anymore, unless that is what you guys wish.
We'll think about that. The Wild is a much nicer place, and we find our own sense of togetherness here. That's why we are often surprised at your friend traveling with you. And they they look over at Spinks when they say that. But I suppose you could find your own community wherever you travel.
Which, speaking of which, I know Ricotta's not here, but I would more or less say one of our mutual acquaintances. She's come onto some damage. It's befallen a number of the people in our party.
Out here, she'd be able to actually heal it.
Right. Oh, she can heal it
She
herself.
has the consecrate spell and the.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we don't need to actually. Okay, I was gonna ask the which one is the cleric?
Cheggy is a cleric, a goblin cleric.
Okay, so if Ricotta can handle it, then I won't ask her.
However, she'll inform you that she doesn't really have healing per se.
Okay.
Somebody give me a perception, since I noticed Cassius's eye rise for a moment there.
Could be a worse roll. Nice.
Cassius, you notice that she has a symbol you've seen before.
Whoops. Sorry, that was the...
Oh, that was Zeke.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
Zeke.
Well, everybody got it.
Yeah.
All three of you notice that she has a symbol that is similar to one you've seen before. You've seen it in Kazarim, and you've seen it in a few other places. It is the symbol of Delanrian. A skull head on a shield.
I thought it was some evil god like the one that steals secrets.
No.
But is that just like a god of war kind of thing? That just doesn't.
Delanrian is about like protection and nature, but like her principles are that, you know, death is a natural part of life, but rebirth after your death is equally as naturally part of life.
But she is evil technically, though, right?
You do not have to be evil to worship Delanrian.
No, but I mean, like Delanrian's alignment.
Many people align Delanrian with evil. Yes.
I mean,
there is argument about what Delanrian's actual official alignment is.
Yeah, because I could see there being an argument against it not being evil, but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So if Ricotta can seem to heal the vile damage here, then I would just say we try and rest off and see if this, whatever these demons did to us, starts to go away too, while I try and build us a Pokeball.
Okay.
Before they leave, did they happen to say if they noticed any different types of materials being more effective against them or not?
They don't have a lot of access to different materials.
Okay. I didn't know if they had like cold iron or anything of that nature.
No.
Okay.
They also said that these things, if these are the things we're trying to catch, they're not particularly strong.
Yeah.
That they kind of go down easy.
Well, I was hoping like if we had something, then maybe something that was higher up on the food chain, you know, we could reverse engineer and figure out how that goes. But I don't know.
We can see.
Wishful thinking.
I mean, we'll have to see what we actually bump into, but at least these things seem like a simple enough thing to catch and take back alive. And if we encounter something more powerful, then we might have to take that back to dead. But that still might be useful. But I think the more powerful we go up the food chain, the harder it is to be able to take something back alive that's not just gonna like literally fuck us in our sleep, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all of my questions. I can't think of anything.
Okay.
Do they have any questions for us?
No. You've given them some information they weren't expecting to get, so they're just happy to see that you're mostly okay, and worried for your safety in going up north.
As am I, but I think the longer we wait, the harder this task is going to get, and the earlier we get out on it a little bit, I hope that the research we can do, if we can capture one of these, will make things much easier in the future, but it's just speculation.
I hope so as well. All right. From here, are you guys heading north, or are you guys heading back to Gazarum?
We wouldn't be going back to Gazarum. We're on about the 15th right now.
Yeah, it'd be right around there.
Where was our agreed upon with the shifters?
The same place just outside of Luke Hill.
Okay,
so you'd have to leave like in the next day or two. No, I guess from where you're at, like the next 3 days.
So we could potentially get whatever housekeeping stuff done here, and then plan to go to that meeting on Luke Hill.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Is that about right?
Yeah.
And then from there, we'd probably just look to go into the northwest. I think would seem like a good plan. But
okay.
Unless anyone disagrees.
All right.
You muted yourself, Steve.
What?
No,
I didn't. You guys roam back to Kazarum. Do a few more things over the next couple of days, and then make your way up to Luke Hill.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So we were able to heal the vial damage when we were outside.
Yes, we'll assume that that Rada does what she needs to like get you guys back up.
Is there a vest waiting in Kazarum?
There is indeed.
Okay.
Just switching out one dispel alarm for comprehend languages.
Okay.
Everything else is the same.
Thank you.
And did any ability damage go away while we were resting outside of town?
Were you? How many days were you resting?
I guess it would have been. We would have like rested. So you said we had 3 days.
Yeah.
So we definitely would not be resting in Kazaram right now because we know that it's going to block our healing.
Mm-hmm.
So if we'd go into town to do whatever business, but then we'd be resting on the outskirts.
Well, it's several hours to get out to Kamoa. Like Kamoa is not just a walk. It would be a distance to walk. So you can get back back and forth roughly within the day. Actually, really kind of not. That's about 30.
I'd say even if we get back to Kazarum, pick up our stuff, I'd still say we would be resting on the outskirts. We'd just keep like Sphinx's spell up.
Sure. Then you guys can heal the normal 1 point per day.
Okay, cool.
So let's put us at about the 18th is when you're planning to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And let us begin the journey. Back on the road again. I was not expecting this, so let me get my counter chart up. See what a ride you get.
Bold dragon.
Nope, we actually know that, so we can pass over that. Okay. Let me see what the party finds.
1d4 pit fiends.
Why, Tom? Why do you have to say these things?
Oh no, actually, you guys are going up to Luke Hill right now, so this is gonna change. Yeah, because you're going like this.
I was gonna ask, as we start getting close to Luke Hill, how different does this look?
Yeah, we will get to that in a moment. Let me do the proper math here. Yeah, that's not a big deal. Just kind of ignore that and that. Yeah, there's really only a handful of things here that could happen until you get much further north. Right about as you're passing by where Mukmak is, you can see that more trees have started popping up in the distance. The grass is still the same color, but these are trees that you definitely don't see out here in the savannah. These are like pines, oaks, redwoods. These look like trees that would normally struggle in this kind of environment, but they seem to be like starting to grow and grow rapidly. Oh yeah, this is not natural. Not at all natural.
I mean, we kind of knew this is what they were doing, right, Cassius? They told us that.
Yeah, but...
You guys pass by another pack of centaurs as well. As you get into an area where there is a lot more tree coverage. And the centaurs are like kind of standing around the trees, looking at them rather confused, commenting back and forth to each other. Mal, you would notice that as they're discussing things with each other, they're asking like, where did this come from? It wasn't here before. This is not right. Something is happening.
These are the... You said what kind of trees were they? There was just a variety of them?
There's a wide variety of like more forest-dwelling trees.
I was just trying to think of like what kind of things that could be hiding within those. But...
Choker.
Thanks, Tom.
As you're traveling, though, through this area, you notice that there are a couple of houses that have popped up not too far outside of Lukill. They are kind of grass hut style, like bits of like log and grass that kind of assemble these small little huts. And there are... Hold on one sec. There are like about 40 or 50 houses that have like been erected here. And there are quite a few people roaming about the area in this small little village that's kind of popped up.
Humans?
These are elvish, actually.
Arvos, your people's over there.
Do I know anything about these things? Like, is this weird or?
This is rather weird. There are forest trees in the plains, a village that's popped up like in a few months.
I mean, specifically that it's like elven architecture out here, like
yeah, like there aren't really pockets of like elves living on their own. So this is like again kind of odd.
I would mention party. This is odd.
That isn't something that
He wants to
occurs
talk to
in nature, is it, Steve?
No.
I don't know much of elven culture. If I'm
It's in
being
fact
honest.
unnatural.
I think you're one of the first elves I've met in quite some time.
Would I do I know how like random elves would just treat a random elf they don't know? Like, is this like something that do I know like this?
I mean, if these are elves that are willing to live out in some village, fuck these people. Like, these are going to be some wild elves that are probably going to be into some
elves.
wild elf shit. They're probably like either one, they're going to be nature-loving elves that have no interest in your like intellectual magic, or two, they're going to be like wood elf hunting types that want to go around like killing things for food and bringing it back to their family to prove that they're top dog.
I think I'd still want to talk to them just because they might have information about like what's going on in the area.
Okay.
So yeah, I would say perhaps we should just have a quick conversation, gather some intel.
I'd let you take lead on that, Arvos.
Yeah, so I'll ask up here to stop the cart, and I'll
Yeah.
slowly approach one of the elven huts or whatever.
They look at you a little bit worrisome, but they wait for you to walk forward.
Yeah, so the nearest elf, I'll greet them in Elvish and ask like what's going on, and like who are you guys? What's going on here?
Welcome to our town. This is... let me get a name real quick for it.
This is the town of no humans allowed.
It's so small that the text doesn't even appear on the map because it's like written in like size 1 font.
What about that human over there? No humans allowed.
Let's see. There should be none of this, and it should be based on... So just gotta get the culture right.
Of course, that's right.
Oh, that is too big. Redo. It's way too big. Smaller. This is Hayford.
Greetings. Can you let me know what you guys are all doing out here? It's not every day I see fellow elves out and about.
Ooh, Dan just hit himself bad.
You okay?
My life, dude.
I was trying to see if they like look like that elves that I've encountered. Like if there's anything that's weird about them.
No,
They just look like elves?
they look like elves.
Okay. Yeah, that's what the perception check was for. That's what I was trying to see if there's anything unusual about these specific elves.
We have fled from Bowold. Well, things began to get rather dangerous there. We found some home out here, although the environment is a-changing.
Do you have any information about that? Do you know what's happening with it?
I assume that by now there's probably quite a bit of chaos and damages occurring. Since your people stopped providing us assistance, we've sent many messengers to the camp, and there was no reply. But
What do you mean?
there's been a lot of chaos. A lot of our people have not been welcomed to leave for trade or for other non-disavowalment activities.
Is this in Elven or Common?
Yes, this is all in Elven.
Okay. Right.
When you say you sent separate messages to the camp, I assume you mean the military camp? I'm not military.
Bowold sent many people. You travel with those in the military.
Yes, so they're accompanying me. Personal bodyguards almost.
Well, Bowold sent many a messenger to the military when things started to get a little chaotic. Some group calling themselves the Shifters, and many animal-like attacks. We decided that it was probably best not to affiliate ourselves any further with the town, and we took what supplies we had and made our way out this way.
I'll turn to Mal. Does it look like he understands Elvish? Basically, I'm just asking if he knows Elvish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it looks like he understands? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'll turn back and I'll turn to Mal and just kind of look at him questioning, if he has any other, I don't know what else we're supposed to get from them.
This was expected to some extent. I'm glad that a number of people were wise enough to leave the town. I'd probably speaking to you in Draconic, not Elvish.
Okay.
John, just so
okay.
But
As he speaks to me in Draconic, I look back at the elves. Does it look like they have a
No idea.
sense of acknowledgement? Okay.
we had to as Heracles may have told you already, we had to cede control of Beowulf to gain alliance with the Shifters.
Has Heracles told me this?
Yeah, it's probably come up
Okay.
in passing.
Interesting.
These must be people that were in Beowulf before that decided they didn't want to be there for whatever was coming. Speaking of which, I'm like curious. So these trees, do they like when we were coming into these forests? Do they like have like a?
It's not really forest yet. So this is like somebody has been Johnny Appleseed style, just roaming around, throwing down some seeds, and if something starts to take roots, somebody's like coming along behind them and like forcing them to grow at a rapid rate.
Okay, so it's not like it's it doesn't seem like there's a focal point and it's growing outward. It's just random spurts.
It's just
trees.
random spurts of trees here and there.
It's not very dense yet.
I was going to do a
not at all.
spellcraft just to see like how fast I would predict this could spread, but I don't know if it.
You're not druidic in nature, so this. I mean, that would be a spellcraft with a very large penalty.
I'll fuck around with it. I'll see, but I don't actually expect to know much.
Ooh, actually, there's probably quite a bit going into this. You assume, you know that like druids do have some sort of ability to kind of manifest a seed to grow much faster, and then they can rapidly accelerate the growth of a tree. So it's easily possible that like there's probably a couple of groups roaming around and throwing down some fast-growing seeds, and whatever sticks, then somebody else is like coming along behind that group a few days later, and then hitting them with a plant growth spell.
But it doesn't really appear to be like self-sustaining per se. Like they have to keep growing it. It's not growing itself.
Eventually, it could become self-sustaining, but at this point, it is not self-sustaining.
Okay. That's all I'd be looking to know, just to get an idea of like how potentially like invasive this could be if they like go back on their word.
I think Heracles mentioned your bleeding heart, and Aldronicus trying to save the people of Beowulf, that they refused you entry at one point. Is it odd at all that they send messages to help for the camp afterwards? It seemed like they didn't want anything to do with you guys. Should I inquire further about that, or?
I would have to know the timeline better, because they said that they sent these messages just now, or when?
No, they sent them quite some time back. You guys have basically been in Kazarim for about a month, and you guys didn't come up here since then.
Tell me, Elvish friend. I'm back in Elvish.
Yes.
I have heard. I'm not with the military, but I heard my colleagues back there tell me that they once tried to help the village of Beowulf, but they were refused entry. Did something happen to shift alliances that they were more welcoming of the military?
The leaders are very skeptical of the military. They believed their requirement was to pay, and once they paid, they were supposed to get certain services for it. However, it was a regular thing for us to not let military people in the city. But I'm sure that, the expectation is the military is there to protect us when the time comes. But they weren't there.
Hey, Mal, did he happen to mention anything about why, like anything about Beowulf, the city itself, as to why they would be so protective of the city?
I would actually ask him that. The military, unfortunately, has had to cut back on a number of contracts because as you might be aware, there is a growing threat in the northwest. But is there a reason that Beowulf is so important to the Shifters and to your people?
It is sacred land space. There is a holy site of trees that exists in Beowulf that was brought over when we fled from the forests. It has been kept there for some time and is a key source of much of the First Circle's powers.
I see, and do all the Shifters and all of you draw on those same powers?
when the shifters were thrown out, they would have lost quite a bit of their ability. Without access to such the place, they would have been weakened substantially.
I would relay this to you, Cassius, that it seems that the town is basically like a refueling station. Is that like a proper way of interpreting?
No, the town is like a it's like a generator
magic,
of
right?
sorts. Yeah, it gives them, like, it allows them kind of an amplification of their existing strength. But when the shifters were kind of thrown out of town, they were all either druids or some druidic type of people that were like cast out because they wanted different things than what Boawold wanted, and so they've been like desperately craving to get access to that once more.
Like an addiction type thing, or is it like a
more like this is how they've known how to survive. Like these were creatures of the woods that were banished to the plains, and so for them they're like way outside of their native life cycle.
Like taking away somebody's car and their cell phone.
More like taking away somebody's like. So having somebody who's lived in a specific environment, like let's say somebody lives in a city, and then forcing them to live out in the farm. Only in this case, it's taking somebody who's lived out in the woods and forcing them to live out in the plains. So they've been trying to regrow what they used to have, but they can't quite get it to stick because they don't have the magic that would be needed to create that kind of growth.
That's what I was afraid of. Something like that. Or anything.
I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, Cassius. Right?
Well,
they are allies for the time being. We've seen what these demons can do.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced that the shifters aren't aligned with them, or that the demons or whatever wouldn't be trying to become aligned with them to get some kind of power like that.
It sounds like this tree is specialized to druids culture. I don't know what demons necessarily. They could, but
I don't know. I don't know anything about them, so I'm not ruling anything out.
But I'm thinking it's very unlikely that an alliance between the shifters and these demons is happening. Like, they seem to have conflicting interests, and they both seem to want as much for themselves as they can.
I'm just concerned because of how geographically close it happened. It's all happening, and it's spreading. And
well, I think more likely is that if there's shifters that are in that overlapping area, if these demons start controlling the shifters, that's different.
Yeah.
I don't think an alliance would form, but I think it's potential that they could start controlling them.
That's what I was more afraid of. But yeah, because there already is overlap.
It was only a small amount though, right, Steve, on the map so far, the overlap?
So far, yeah, the overlap is very small.
Yeah, but this area used to be significantly less, right? Because it used to be around the mountain area.
Yeah.
And then this area has been growing as well,
yes,
right?
That is part of where the overlap has actually come from.
Yeah. It's potentially problematic.
But also keep in mind that this growth area is sparse as we're seeing right now. So that doesn't necessarily mean that just because there is some trees
the bigger circle is their outward influence area, and the inner dark green area is where the actual forested area has grown.
But that also grew not too long
It has
ago,
grown
right?
a little bit more as well, yes, but it's very slow because it takes a lot of their magic to upkeep it.
Yeah.
That's
But
information
especially-
Heraclus would have filled you in on.
But especially knowing that they have mind control things and not knowing much about mind control or the reaches of those kind of abilities, it's all concerning.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like I said, we have to pick. We can't battle everything. We have to pick our battles.
I know. I just want to make sure that we're not unprepared in case we walk into something. Does the reach that I'm aware of as far as the demons, is that more of a like a circular kind of spread, or is it more of this like oval shape that I'm seeing?
It's less of both actually. It's in some areas it will stretch out a little further. In some areas it's not quite as far back. This is just like a rough guesstimate of like the overall influence. But it kind of it stretches out in like a more whatever it kind of pushes into further at that time.
Okay, so it's less like shaped like this. I didn't know if it was like it started out here and then it was kind of like working its way out this way.
No, it's been growing as it grows.
Something.
It's been growing as it grows.
Okay, so it hasn't been working towards anything in particular.
No.
Okay.
Anything else you want to inquire about from the village?
What are your plans now? Are you just living out here after?
Yes, this seems the most rational place for us to stay. Things have been quite quiet out here lately, so we found it quite nice. There's enough of us. We have some protective. Some of the druids have come with us, so we have some protective wards that we can put up to keep our little place here safe.
Were there others that left and formed towns, or was it just you?
I'm not sure. Perhaps. There was rumor of some people moving to create a village to the south of Boawold. Just a small village. Handful of people.
The initial population of Boawold was what? Like thousands?
The initial population of Boawold was... Boawold is the funnest place on earth. Oh, I randomly don't have that stat.
Nice.
Is it just on?
No, right?
Is it just on the Boawold page?
That's actually what I went to. It's literally not on the Boawold page.
Interesting.
Fantastic.
It's pretty good of me. I'll look it up, but it was quite a large population. It was closer to a city than it was a town.
So these small villages are like 1% of the population, about?
Yeah, probably
very
less
small.
than that actually.
Less than that. Okay.
Yeah.
Would I happen to know where geographically? I know we're outside of Boawold, but
Boawold's population was 4,300.
Okay. Yep. So like 80 people.
Yeah.
Not much.
like around where in proximity to Boawold were we? You said it was north, right? Or
of that city that you saw burnt down?
well, no, that
the town?
that's south of Boawold. I was trying to figure out where we were, like currently.
You're east of Boawold, heading north towards Lukill.
Okay, yeah, okay. I didn't know if we were closer to the. Okay. I'll just mark this down on my map as well.
Yeah.
When I.
Well, thank you for your time, friend. I hope time finds you well.
We hope so too. These are strange times.
I would say I'm also sorry that the military you feel that the military has let you down, but there are problems going on that are pretty terrifying, and I know that we're all going through hard times right now, but I hope you trust that we're doing our best to keep the land safe, even if it didn't mean the best for Beowulf in the short term.
We'll see how it all turns out.
Oops, didn't want to click that.
And you guys can continue the rest of the way to Lukill.
Yeah, I wish I would have.
You guys will actually, as you approach Lukill, notice there is yet another little village that's popped up.
I'm gonna mark this one down as well.
This is a much smaller village. There's only about, really it's closer to like a hamlet. There's only about 20 or so people in this village. Just a few houses set up here and there.
elven architecture again, or no?
No, these seem like somebody's kind of built them out of trees, like kind of almost cabin style.
So sorry, this is not elves would not do this, or
No,
it could be
elves would not do this.
Not do this.
This is very human-like, but again, assembled rather quickly. You can see humans roaming about the village.
Perfect. I guess we'll flag. I'll if nobody else is going to, I'll flag some of them down to let them know that we're here. So we don't look like we're coming up on them. But,
yeah.
You know.
One of them will come out to greet you. Hello,
Greetings.
travelers.
Hi. Nice to see you guys. Didn't know that you guys were starting a place out here.
Seemed like a good place. Things have been changing out here. We're very excited to start some building very close to Lukill, so we have good ability to get back and forth to town if need be, but we don't particularly like lots of the rules that have been in place for the last couple of years, and finally decided to take some action. Now that we've heard there's been a substantial thinning of some of the wildlife population.
This is a little more in the dense area, right? Because we were going towards.
Yeah, you're quite close to Lukill at this point. This is like this is almost like a little outcropping that would kind of happen naturally as a town gets to a certain size. You'll start to see like some people building out in the landscape to kind of do their own farming privately or whatever, but still keep their trade closely in Lukill. Eventually, these things usually get eaten up by the main town itself, but they exist nonetheless.
And you had no troubles of any sorts from druids or anything being out here?
No, not at all. They mind their own business and we mind ours. Whoa! Let me check something. Hold on.
That's weird shit.
I just imagine that the cat only does this when he's trying to run a game.
They actually, cats do that. If you don't give them attention, they basically will work harder and harder for it.
So the cat does this about what, every other day then?
Yeah. There's occasionally like a 1 in 100 chance of finding a cat that's like a dog, and then all their cats are just assholes.
Actually, it's funny because my mom was telling me about when she was like younger. They had a cat, and then they got a puppy, but the puppy was like a newborn puppy, so it hadn't been around dogs. So it grew up in their house with the cat, and it didn't really know how to bark, so it ended up learning how to meow. People thought that they had 2 cats.
See him Jason walking the cat in.
My favorite thing is when he's just sitting there and the cat tail pops up on his shoulder.
Everything okay?
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do we see any signs of shifters around?
No, not so far.
How long did it take us to get here?
About 2.5 days.
So it's still the 20th,
Yeah,
approximately.
tomorrow is when you'll see is when you're scheduled to meet with the shifters.
And he did say that they were also from Beowulf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh no, these guys did not. These guys are from Lukill.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. I heard Beowulf at some point, and I must have confused it. My bad. So this is like the thing that we were like running into earlier, where it's like possibly that like just people just moved out of the city to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you ever need a place to rest and you don't feel Lukill is quite safe, you may feel free to rest here. We know that some people do not feel comfortable in Lukill from time to time, with all the weird regulations and whatnot. And
yeah, weird regulations. That's why we want to sleep here, right, Zeke? I just kind of wink at him.
We've had like some weird encounters in Lukill. Do you know anything more about anything like that, or?
No, not at all. I don't know what you would have experienced.
But I mean, it's not uncommon to have like strange encounters like that. It seems like had issues with well, I don't know how much of it is my place to say necessarily, but magic users
Magic users are always a problem to everyone, you know? They often get in the way, putting their nose where it doesn't belong.
Damn it.
You're getting a really weird vibe from him. Give me a perception to go along with this sense motive that you got. I'm curious if you could hit this.
Possibly have a +10, but oh wow.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, so you notice some oddities starting to form here. One, there's a very peculiar number of trees here, and they, like, every house is built in such a way that they're under some sort of like relatively large amount of tree cover. It's getting to be like the early part of evening, and this person is like not really moving away from the point that they're standing underneath a tree.
Perfect.
Like they haven't come out any further than this to greet you or to interact with you.
What do I know about the lunar cycle around here?
You know,
What month it is?
You're not close enough to the end of the month. If this is that.
I might be jumping to conclusions with that, but I don't know. But
What knowledge check would it be to be trying to like determine what the fuck this might be?
This I believe would be, well, you'd have to figure that one out on your own, wouldn't you?
like that?
Ooh.
Jesus Christ!
These are like, there's nothing about them that screams unnatural. I'm sorry, there's nothing about them that screams natural per se, like of nature itself. They seem like most things that are from nature want light, and this thing doesn't seem interested in light.
There's a lot of overhang on these trees.
A lot of overhang and a lot of dense overhang. That's not really wizard. It's not really of a wizardly background either. Most arcane things care not about darkness versus light.
Yeah, I was mostly curious just because he like made that offhand comment about spellcasters, but then like clearly he's using like druid magic or whatever. So I'm just like wondering like if I knew what druid magic.
Where have you seen him use druid magic?
Well, I assume that's how he made the trees or whatever.
Oh yes.
Because we said they weren't natural, right?
There's knowledge dungeoneering for
Well, yeah, we'll make sure to keep that in mind. But we're on a very tight schedule, so we should probably make it to.
That's very sad. I'm sorry to hear you're in such a rush.
On the way back, perhaps we'll stay a little longer.
Certainly. Perhaps you'd like to partake in a dinner with us celebrating our newly founded village.
Do you have a name for the village, or?
Yes, we call ourselves. Let me jump back to that tab.
Empire City.
Newfoundland.
Like with Cassius, like, is he getting like bad vibes from them, or is it just that they kind of are hiding some parts of their nature? Like,
no, there's some bad vibes coming off of him with his like 29. He's getting like that impression like they didn't come out here to start a new town. They're coming out here to hide from something. That comment about like people putting their nose in where it doesn't belong, really kind of like heightened it. That's why, and Cassius is a naturally paranoid person, so he picks up a little excessively on those things, admittedly. But in this case, he hit the nail on the head.
well, Zeke, do you want to sleep with like the vampires, or do you want to sleep in the town where the wizard's probably going to take you over and try and murder people?
The name of this place is Wyminster.
I gotta be going.
Kind of like pick your poison, I guess. I guess we could just sleep outside tonight too. Maybe we just throw up an animal spell and just sleep in somewhere on the outskirts of Luke Hill. Maybe that might be our best bet at this point.
I actually wanted to do that when we were at the
I
other
said
town.
goodnight. I don't know if you heard me. Sorry.
Oh, it probably because it froze up.
Yeah. Good night.
Later.
See ya. Yeah, I meant to do that when we were at the other town that had a very un-elvish name. I was like, that's weird, but that might just be because it was random name generator or something.
It's actually it's in the relative. It's more of a like Sylvan-esque name.
Okay, yeah. With this one, I was just trying to see if there was anything of the name of the town that would stand out as far as like the origin of the name. But yeah, maybe on the way back we'll come back through and we'll spend some time here, perhaps.
We look forward to it.
Thank you. Have a good night.
One moment before you go. He's not saying that. I'm checking something real quick.
Yeah.
We'll reflex to see if you get bit.
No, they're dominating skill.
Oh,
Yeah, I am going to need a will save from Cassius.
Oh, this motherfucker. Luckily I bought cross bullets.
Hold on, do we see him making any gestures?
Nope, there is no movement required because it is not a spell.
Oh.
You stare into his eyes as he bids you adieu, and you feel like you definitely want to come back sometime soon.
Oh, you need a memory or anything? I want to be more than happy to get rid of.
I'm gonna see if I sense any change in Cassius' demeanor.
Nope.
Does that change my perception of the town at all? Like overall, like? Or
No, you'll still feel weird about the town. Like none of you have keyed in on what this could be quite yet.
Well, I wanted to tell him about like the kind of thing I was like kind of sensing when I was there, but I didn't know if like his charming me would be
No, it doesn't gain the ability to read your mind, so it doesn't know what you're thinking. He just wants to make sure that you want to return later.
If I feel that's pertinent, I will mention that as well, but if I don't, then I don't.
You might feel like this is a safer place to stay than staying in Luke Hill. Because at least in Luke Hill, you don't have to worry about Zeke coming to kill you, and you guys could probably take care of vampires.
And I'll relay the information that I know about, or that I was able to glean.
Okay.
So is Cassius suddenly like super like advocate, like guys, we should stay here. Here's like my 20 reasons, or is it just like very like?
No, he'll be saying like later on,
and, like more away from the magic of the town. So that is actually a benefit of it, though. We wouldn't be as influenced by whatever the hell it is that's tracking Zeke down.
But when it's time for you guys to leave Luke Hill, Zeke or Cassius will find himself kind of drawn to want to come back here.
And how far from this is? We're pretty close to Luke Hill at the moment, right?
You're quite close to Luke Hill, yeah.
Like a mile?
Couple hours out, yeah.
Okay, so like 10 miles?
A little less than that, but right around there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Zeke getting control.
I guess actually really just a few minutes, not really hours, sorry.
Yeah. Like, Zeke getting control is pretty risky at this point.
Wait, would you guys have told me about all this? I mean, you're kind of talking about it in front of me.
Yeah, I wouldn't exclude you from the conversation about this, because it does also
Zeke,
put your life in general, or in jeopardy.
Yeah, you were there. I told you about it.
I was there?
What,
Yeah.
Okay.
When Zeke got let out of the prison, was that Arachlus, or who let him out?
Oh, the guards let him out.
But who was the guy who was like apologizing?
Arachlus met him. He was really pissed off that
Yeah.
he let this other guy have any sort of influence in his town.
Zeke, have you tried sleeping in an extra-dimensional space? Perhaps this will prevent some spells affecting you? I'm not sure, though. I don't know if I could do like a knowledge arcana to know if it would still...
It's unlikely they would affect him. He'd be in a pocket dimension.
Yeah. So I'll offer him that option.
Yeah, take you up on that.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So you guys can... I'm assuming you're not sticking around here and heading straight to Luke Hill, then?
I mean, I'm still on the fence. Like, I don't particularly like sleeping in the big towns at the moment until we know if we've actually solved Zeke's situation or not. Or
Okay.
I'm still open to it. Like, I'm almost in the not sleep here, not sleep in Luke Hill. Like, I just want to go set up camp.
Okay.
outside the kill and sleep out in the woods.
Sounds good to me. Then this is where we're going to break. And if anybody has not healed up to where they should be, please make sure your characters are healed up. Make sure you've healed the 3 points of ability score damage that you will have healed. And please be ready for combat in the night of next session, as you have declared you're sleeping outside, and a troop of vampires is very interested and knows exactly where one of your party members are. If you were not expecting combat, you're fools.
No. It's just like I don't know, I don't know if it how it works with Zeke's thing, but every time he gets taken over, I don't know if it gets worse and worse.
It has been noticed that it has each check that he's succeeded on has had to be higher each time.
Because
it doesn't make it worse or worse. It makes it easier for him to be controlled.
I'm also
right?
Yes.
It also means it's worse the things he's making Zeke do. The last time he almost killed somebody, and before that it was just sort of fucking around. But then once he starts murdering people is where I'm starting to get paranoid.
Right, and you also know that this guy also doesn't just have a hard-on for Zeke now. He also has some interest in Meldronicus.
Mal. Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of just want to stay away from these towns at
Okay.
the moment. I'd rather fight vampires than.
All right, I've got some NPC generating to do for next session.
I didn't realize that he had suggested staying in the outside in the wilderness.
You would be fine with that.
Well,
Sphinx has her mansion spell, doesn't she? I mean, we'd be
That's
fine
true.
with that.
Yeah,
It'd be
it's not mansion. It's just
Whatever it is.
It's
The
tiny
big house or whatever. No, isn't it a big? She made a big one last time, didn't she?
I mean, it fits 8, but it's still called Tiny Hut.
No. This is a different one. It has this unseen servant. It has alarm spells at every entrance, whatever. It's
Hold on.
crazy.
Oh,
I think it was.
we can do a sick ass dynamic lightning house encounter where we're
Oh no, it's Secure Shelter. It's Liamon's Secure Shelter.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not Liamon.
Yeah, they dropped the.
If we don't invite the vampires in, they're not allowed to come in.
That's not how this works.
Wait, what is that from?
That's old Victorian vampire legend.
And also one of our party members would invite them in.
Yeah. Oh, come right in. Come
I
right
wouldn't
in.
invite them in. I don't want to die.
guys.
I don't know who. Oh,
It's my friend.
you talk about
Lovely
castles,
abode.
All right. I'm going to hand out some XP. It's not going to be a lot because a lot of this has been conversational and learning, but there's still been some. So everybody go ahead and take 1,000 experience. We'll wrap that up to that.
Nice. Don't forget to wipe your fangs at the door.
How does Whitney get experience or no? I
Yeah.
don't remember how you do it.
I'll add it to her sheet.
How dare she have an anniversary?
Did I get an experience for last week?
Yeah, you should take. I forget what was handed out, but go ahead and take
I can tell you in a second.
Okay.
Last session we got total 1,500.
Okay. Yeah, you can take that.
Right.
All right, and yeah, I'm excited for next week, and I look forward to the whichever party member becomes a vampire next. So.
All of us.
Not
It's gonna
the
be
goddamn blood.
There's no way. We're in this
Good night.
shelter thing. It has 50,000 alarms. We're fine.
Yeah, the alarms will be going off while they gaseous form on into your place and eat
I mean, at least
you
we'll
alive.
be surprised and
Sure, but
us on our sleep.
we'll see how many of them show up. It's gonna be fun
So
either
many
way.
clouds of bullets.
Good night, everybody.